Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of LFGM. Let's fucking go Mets. We are 4 games into the season. Our Metropolitans they sit 2-2 right now. We've seen some good, we've seen some bad, we've seen some ugly, we've seen some interesting managerial decisions. We've seen it all through 4 games, Matt. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I think that's the reason why we probably held off on doing the podcast. We held off a day late just to get one more game in so we could see, really. And I think we got like a pretty decent idea of what this team looks like so far. But I think for us, like, it wouldn't have made much sense to put out something if we're a game or two in and that's it.
Yeah, so right now it is Thursday, April 8th. It is 6:05. So we are, recording this right after Game 4. We just saw the Mets' first game at Citi Field with Steve Cohen as the owner, which was really exciting. So we got a few takeaways. We're going to do a little bit of a recap about the first 4 games. We'll give you a little bit of a preview of what's coming this upcoming week. We'll talk a little bit about the makeup games with the Nationals and what we want to see this team do moving forward. So game 1 was Jacob deGrom in Philadelphia. It was a tough loss. The Mets lost 5-3. It was not a game that they should have lost, in my opinion. I think it was a very winnable game. I think everybody would agree with that. deGrom gets pulled after 77 pitches in 6 innings. No Dom Smith in the lineup. It was a weird way to start the year. But, it is what it is. It's in the rearview mirror. You got a great start from deGrom. He was electric, and for me, it's like the feeling out process as a manager, and I'm not going to overreact to anything in the first week of the year.
Right. I mean, after that first game, I got to say that was like a kick to the gut, though, a little bit, because it's like, I mean, I didn't say it out loud, but it was like there was a point when Jake was pitching, like the 5th or 6th inning, it was one of his later innings, and I was like, this is the year where he actually maybe gets those 17 to 20 win range. And then that happened. I was like, you idiot. Idiot. What were you thinking?
Man needs some run support. And it'll happen. It will. I fully believe it. I think it's, been a slow start. Game 2 was Marcus Stroman. Stroman looked good. He looked really good. He had I would say a little bit of a command issue early on, but he settled down. He got a lot of ground balls. I was really impressed with him. The Mets were able to take that game in Philadelphia. They won that game 8-4. We saw Pete Alonso hit a home run late in that one, which was really exciting. Something that I noted in this game was you saw back-to-backs from Miguel Castro and Trevor May.
Yeah, like at that time I was really, really wondering why we were doing that, especially so early on, especially given what happened with them the game before. And Castro didn't even, I don't even think he gave up a run that first game, but, he got one ball hit off him. That was an absolute bomb, and the wind just killed it. Yeah. And then Pete made a great play. So I was like, all right, ease our way into the season, but they ended up getting it done, which is good to see. And all around, good pitching performance and good hitting performance, good team hitting performance.
Yeah, we got Dom in the lineup. I think this was the game when JD got hit by the pitch right on his hand. So he came out early, which was disappointing. So we got, a little bit of a check to the gut right there. But 8 runs is pretty good against the Phillies. We got to their bullpen a little bit there. Game 3 against the Phillies, not our best performance. Peterson goes out there and lets up 4 runs in the first. Didn't look ready, in my opinion. He really settled down after the first inning, but you got to come, ready to pitch. They jumped him. He was a little bit, all over the place. Didn't have a good feel for the slider to start. And the Mets lost that game 8-2. We saw Jacob Barnes in that game. We saw Dylan Betances in that game. And we saw Joey Lucchesi come out of the bullpen in that game as well.
Yeah, and like what an ugly game, honestly. I like that Peterson bounced back pretty well, and
For
like
sure.
obviously it would have been nice to see him go 5, and giving up 4. It's like, all right, we could work with that a little bit. So, and hopefully he'll get stretched out to that point. But really, I took that as a positive overall for Peterson, is the
Absolutely.
fact
So
that he could go and do that. Um, and then the main thing that stood for me was like, what an awful pitch call for Jacob Barnes. He hit the mitt. He did what he was supposed to. Well, why are you doing that?
I don't
It's
know.
crazy to me that they pretty much called their shot, the Phillies too. They motioned first pitch to Real Muto. Ronnie said it on the
Yep.
broadcast. It happens, and then Gary asked him, was like, well, if you could see it from here, how does Rojas and his coaching staff not see it?
Yeah,
And I
that
was
was
just like, oh my God, man,
not a
seriously.
good. My biggest takeaway from that game was how many men were left on base. That was ugly. I mean, it was a game where you're out hitting the Phillies, yet they're outscoring you, and it's not even close. So
Yeah.
that one for me was tough. It was disappointing the way it started. It was disappointing the way we worked at bats against Aaron Nola and got him out of the game early. That's a perennial Cy Young candidate. Um, you're getting men on base, you're getting ducks on the pond, and you're not making it count. So that one was disappointing for me. And then obviously game 4 today, we saw a first game at Citi Field. We saw Taiwan Walker rocking the 99. He looked awesome early. We got another, doubling up a Castro in May. Edwin Diaz got his first outing of the year, and he looked really good. We had a bat flip from Jeff McNeil, and we had a walk-off hit by pitch. A little controversy there with Michael Conforto, but hey, a win's a win. The Mets even up their record at 2-2 with a 3-2 victory over the Marlins.
Yeah, Taiwan. That's as good as you can really expect for an opening day outing.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who you didn't really you knew he's good, and he's got good stuff, but I was very intrigued to see what he did, and he came out. It's as good as it gets. 6 innings, 2 earned. The Conforto hit by pitch. It's so crazy. Like watching that, and then watching the umpires get it wrong again through replay. It reminded like if you could put games in what's it called? Like if you could we used to be like high school coaches used to threaten this if it was a really bad call. You used to be able to put something in where you appeal the game essentially. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is like the most appealable game ever. We'd have to replay this inning if this was the case.
The thing is, it's like pass interference in the NFL. It's a judgment call, and it sucks because it's nobody wants to win a game like that. I don't even as a Met fan aside, like take your bias out of it. Like if the roles were reversed, Mets Twitter would be up in arms. Nobody wants to win
Oh
a
yeah.
game. Um,
You know what's weird? You know what's I've always thought is weird too, and like I wonder if you think this. Like, and they said it on the broadcast too. When you always have to have the intent to get out of the way.
yeah,
But why? What if you just get? I mean, people just get drilled in the back with a 97-mile-an-hour
yeah. That
fastball. There's no intent to get out of the way because
I
you
mean, this
have no. You know what I mean?
strike though. It was a strike.
No, no. I'm not even like
I
talking
think
about Conforto really,
that's a different situation.
because
But yes,
Conforto he put his elbow in. Yeah, that's a strike. But it's so weird when they talk about that. I'm like, well, it's tough to kind of just get out of the way because also you don't know which way to go half the time.
I think of like growing up, like the number one person who would always get hit by a pitch was Craig Biggio. And this dude would just lean into pitches. And they never called it. They never called him back. And I think it was a game, it was either last year or 2 years ago. Brandon Nimmo leaned into a pitch, got hit, and the ump did not award him first base. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Even that one though, and it's the right call based on the rule. That one
sure.
years ago, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But like he didn't lean in, especially like Conforto, he didn't lean in like
Yeah.
that at all. But he just stood there and just took it. I think if you just stand there and take it,
it's
What
got
do you
to
want
be
him to do?
difficult
Like,
as an umpire. Your job is the home plate ump. Your job is to watch the strike zone and to watch the ball. You're not necessarily watching the batter and what they're doing. So it's got to be difficult.
yeah.
And I think a few of the guys in the post game mentioned this, that you as an umpire right there, you have to rely on your team, and you really he should have checked with the second base umpire, and they should have collaborated there and got it right. But at the end of the day, that it's in the books, and a win's a win. The Mets are 2-2 going into Game 5, so we got two more games with the Fish. Both won 10 games, so off tomorrow, Friday. And we got two more 110 games. We got DeGrom on Saturday and Stroman on Sunday. So there's a great chance of the Mets taking the 3-game sweep here. We could get the brooms out on Sunday. I would love nothing more than to get DeGrom his first W of the year Saturday. Do maybe a little split screen, watch the Masters, watch Jacob DeGrom strike out a bunch of Marlins batters, and that would be I think a good way to start the weekend there. And then we got a 4-game series with the Phillies coming up, and it's going to go Peterson, Walker. I would imagine Joey Lucchesi gets his first start of the year in one of those games, and then it's going to end with Jacob DeGrom. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Those are 7-10 games, and then Thursday. This is an interesting one. The DeGrom start will be a 12-10 game. So we got a few games coming up here. 7 of our first, what is that, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 7 of the first 10 games are going to be against the Philadelphia Phillies. So got to get off to a better start against them.
Yeah, the Thursday games I think are always early just because you're starting a new series for the weekend. So that's nothing really that's changed too much. But it'll be interesting to see how they use the pen going forward. I mean, I feel very confident in these starters, but it's weird. We've seen a lot of quite a few of these guys back to back and in a lot of appearances already. Some of them have 3 appearances, and then we have some guys that haven't gotten in yet at all.
So big news today before the game was that Dylan Betances was placed on the IL. They're calling it like a shoulder, uncomfortableness. I don't even know what the right terminology is there. His shoulder's uncomfortable, which means, AKA, get your shit together and go figure it out somewhere else. So they called up Trevor Hildenberg. Would have been nice to keep Mike Montgomery. Too bad he's with the Yankees now. But so no more Dylan Betances for a few more days here, and I think they get some bullpen help there at least. Like you said, let's talk about the starting pitchers. I have the utmost confidence in these starters. They showed you their best this week, and even Lucchesi coming out of the bullpen looked really good.
Yeah,
I think the starters are going to be a strong point for this team moving forward. Rojas has got to do a better job managing this bullpen. You can't throw out Miguel Castro and Trevor May every single time. We've seen Familia real shaky. We saw Edwin Diaz today for the first time. He looked really good. We saw Betances not good. He'll be gone. So we need to see a little bit more from Jacob Barnes. We need to see Aaron Luke perform better and not hit Bryce Harper. So the bullpen, I think, right now is my big question mark and my big concern moving forward.
Like I knew that I knew that we would be trying relievers in different situations. I knew we would try different guys in different places, right? But there comes a point where you got to realize, like, all right, we're playing the Phillies. We're going to have some close games, especially when you look at the pitching matchups and it's early on. Like, when we are up by 4 or 5, or when we are up or down by 6, like we do have to see some of these other guys. And for me, if you have so many guys in that pen that you can't trust with a 5-run lead, like that whole thing with I think it was game 2 with Familia and Trevor May was just bizarre, where they had both of them up. It was 6-1, man. So if you can't trust Jerry family with a 5-run lead at this point, I don't know, man. Like then move on.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It's insane that we have what it's Familia's 11 and Betances is 7.5. So let's just round it up. You got $20 million dedicated to two guys in the bullpen who you don't even want to put out there, regardless of the score. Regardless of the score, you don't want them on the field. It's not a good situation right there. At least they're going to sideline Betances until they feel a little bit more comfortable with him. You might see the same thing a week from now with Familia, just to get somebody else up there. It's not a good situation right now in the bullpen. I think the most glaring part about the bullpen right now to me is the absence of Seth Lugo. He was a calming presence for the bullpen, for for the players, for fans, for managers. I mean, he literally you're starting to see how valuable of an asset he is in his absence. Um, Man, when he comes back, it's going to be like trading for an all-star, and just the comfortability level back in the bullpen when he's there. I mean, you would have Diaz. I think Trevor May will figure it out and get it together a little bit. Lugo and my guy Miguel Castro. That's a lot better right there.
It is, but you also got to remember Seth Lugo throws like once every 5 days.
Yeah.
So he's not a workhorse guy out of the pen. So you really have to figure out the rules for some of these other guys. We really have to figure out. I mean, if Aaron Loop is getting ready with Bryce Harper coming up and he's not coming into the game, then we'll be on the team.
Yeah.
It's things like that regardless of if Lugo comes back or not, that's still an issue.
No, I know that was it was, and we were texting during that game. I mean, Castro's in the game, and you can tell he's up around 20 pitches. It's like he's done. He's shot at this moment, and you got Harper up, and it's what a 6-1 game, and he had some men on base, and it's like, dude, get him out of the game. You have Aaron Luke warming up. How is he not ready?
We got lucky there. We did get lucky there.
Yeah, we got lucky. I mean, we've seen Castro in 3 games. We've seen May in 3 games. We've seen them both look really, really good. I mean, today Miguel Castro was unreal. His slider was just on a string. And we've seen, the not so good from Trevor May in game 1. I mean, people were all over him after the game on Twitter about getting on Twitch and it's just like unbelievable. Like it's going to happen. His quote after the game was nice. He was like, Jake can't do everything. Like I got to step up. And I didn't in that situation. So it's nice to see him take accountability for it. He was actually kind of funny. He was like, Steve Gelbs, I really did not want to be talking to you today because that means I messed up. So
yeah. Whenever a reliever has to speak to the media, it's usually because they shit the bed. I mean, it definitely will be interesting going forward. Like, definitely got to figure out the pen. Giselman hasn't even been called upon to warm up yet. I don't even think. So we got to start getting some guys in, and we've had relatively close games throughout this whole time. But still, you want all good pens have guys that can come in at any situation. And then you only have one guy for mop-up duty, maybe 2 at the most. And the way we are using the pen is like there's like 3 or 4 mop-up guys.
I know, I was just going to say that, yeah. It's crazy.
And you can't pitch Miguel Castro every day because it's really not going to go well. We've seen that happen over and over again throughout all of our teams. You could go all the way back to the Mets, like using Pedro Feliciano.
I was going to say that.
Like you can literally go back at Aaron Heilman was just used a ton one season, right, when he was doing well, and like he can't pitch every day. So I thought that was bizarre. And like I know we have a day off tomorrow, but it's something to watch going forward. And that is my biggest concern too. Like obviously the situational hitting sucks, but I think our hitters are too talented and good enough.
I was just going to bring it up. I mean, there's a lot of people who are all over Conforto right now and all over Lindor, and it's like they're 4 games into the season. Like these guys are going to hit. Look at their averages. They're going to come around. I am not worried about the lineup scoring runs. I think they're going to be more than capable. I think, a trend right now that is something to keep an eye on is going to be, their ability to hit with men on base and their ability to hit with men in scoring position. But, this is the law of averages. These things are going to work themselves out. I think Dom Smith needs to be in the lineup against lefties. He's got to play. He has to play 140 games in left field.
I agree with that. I agree. I think and like we've talked about the lineup too, and all these guys are so good that I'm not going to complain like a ton about the order, right? There's some things that make no sense to me, and it is what it is, but it's probably analytics or whatever. But
oh yeah,
Dom Smith does need to be in the lineup more and needs to be in against lefties more, and we can't get too cute with that. People also need to realize, like, going back to Conforto, the people who are bashing him, it's like you don't know who he is. Conforto's a very streaky guy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what are his numbers? His numbers are always there.
Yep.
And his numbers, you don't find those numbers on many guys.
He's going to make $200 million, you know?
Right. Yes, exactly. And he's very streaky, and that's what he is, though. So, I don't know. People who can't handle four games of slumping, then you're not going to deserve when he goes on like a 10-game streak that just carries us in July.
We're 4 down. We got 157 to go. People relax, calm down. I will say, with the lineups, they've been going a lot of righty-lefty stuff. With JD out, you got to get Diorme or Villar over there. If I had one thing to say about the lineup, it would be Nimmo's your leadoff guy. He's earned that spot. He deserves that spot. There was no reason for Pilar to be the leadoff guy game one. Brandon Nimmo gets on base. He works counts. He's slapping the ball down the line. He'll occasionally hit a home run, but he has earned that leadoff position, and there was absolutely no reason for him to not be the number one in the number one spot game one.
I'm glad you brought that up because that almost slipped me because he's been so good and yeah, 4 games, but going back to spring training and I don't even care about numbers. The way his approach is at the plate, he's always been patient, right? He always gets his walks, but he is putting together more and more just better swings on the baseball every time, and it's showing already. But even like in spring training, we talked about this, and like, yeah, he looks good, and he looks like he's coming into his own way more, and he is our leadoff hitter. And I don't care if it's a lefty. I don't care. Like, that's the thing, man. Like,
I'm with you.
The lineup gets way too cute. He doesn't want 3 lefties in a row, and I get certain things like that. Well, then work around Brandon Nimmo batting leadoff.
No, that I was just going to say that. Like,
work around it.
My big thing, you want to go righty-lefty, fine. But Nimmo needs to be the leadoff guy, and Dom Smith needs to play 104 games.
Yes.
Work around it.
And it can happen.
Okay, I got 2 more things. One more with the lineup, not necessarily about the lineup, but about a player in the lineup. Let's talk a little James McCann. I was a former catcher, so it's so great to see somebody behind the plate who knows what the hell they're doing. He's framing pitches. He's holding pitches there for the umps to see, to get an extra look at. He's calling a good game. He blocking pitches, he's had a few RBI singles. He has been, and put him in the 8 hole, put him in the 7 hole. I don't care. It doesn't matter. He's been, I mean, we're seeing like night and day from Wilson Ramos right now behind the plate. And I mean, he's got to be the best defensive catcher we've had, I would say, in the last, 10, 12. I can go back maybe even 20 years.
He's pretty damn good. He did get crucified a little bit online for that throw from Guillorme. It was a bad throw.
Yeah, people are saying
maybe I think next time he has that, just because he wasn't really prepared for any kind of throw other than the one right to his chest. When you see his angle on it, and I think he would probably say that too. Clearly an error on Guillorme, but I mean, the biggest thing for me with him is that he controls the staff really well. Like,
Yep.
there's so many times when we'd have some guys on our mound, especially young guys, like, and no one's going out there, and between the pitching coach and the catcher, or even just the third baseman popping in, right? And you've seen that a lot more now, and it's something that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, unless Jake is on the mound, unless Stroman is on the mound, but these other guys are guide them a little bit.
For sure. Yeah, he's been great back there. It's been like really. I mean, you're talking night and day from Wilson Ramos, and I think the bat. We'll see a little bit more power from him moving forward, obviously. I think we'll see a little bit more power from a lot of people moving forward. But he's been, to me, it's been so refreshing to watch just the movement, the activity, the communication, just so many different things that there's no, statistic for. I think he's done a really good job back there. So you want to crucify a guy over one play? I mean, come on. Give me a break. It's a catcher trying to make a first baseman's play. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not something you practice all the time. And yes, I think if you look back at the film, like, he's stretching before the throw. And I think he'd be the first one to tell you, like, that's something I got to clean up. And that's fine. That's good. It's a good, I'd rather have it happen now than, in a wild card game or, when it actually, like, really, really matters. So I've been very, like, I mean, it's only 4 games, but I've been, like, so impressed, so happy with him behind the plate. You got anything else about, team-wise?
I wanted to ask you, do you have concerns about the defense at all?
Not entirely. I mean, third base is weird right now. Like, is JD going to the IL? Guillorme will have better throws, obviously. Lindor's going to be fine. McNeil had one weird play up the middle at second base. But besides that, he's looked pretty good at second base. Pete's looked unreal at first base.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing that we should – I mean, the dude said he wants to win a Gold Glove. It's only 4 games in. Like I said, 157 to go. But, man, he's looked real good over there at first base. Outfield-wise – haven't seen much from Dom Smith out there.
Sick relay game 1.
Yeah, you're right. That was Conforto to McNeil to third base. That was Rhys Hoskins trying to stretch out a triple for no fucking reason. That was so dumb. But I think outfield-wise, they're going to be fine. It was weird seeing Nimmo in left when Pilar was in center. He didn't look entirely comfortable out there. He was running towards the wall on a foul ball. And then the play in center field today when he kind of like backed up into the wall, lost the ball in the sun a little bit. But I don't worry about him necessarily. I think he makes the average plays, Nimmo. He's not going to make great plays. I think defensively, way better than last year right now. I mean, Lindor's an improvement. McCann's an improvement. Pete's been an improvement. Cano was lazy as fuck. I think you're going to get more range from McNeil at second base. And I think the more those guys play in the outfield, the better they're going to get.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't necessarily have concerns either. Lindor sat back on that ball game 3 with Stroman on the mound and, had that error. That was a bad
Real
play.
Muto, I think he just didn't realize Real Muto can run like Real Muto can. Like,
yeah. But overall, one thing that kills me, and I talked about this with you before, but and it was game 2, where they were up by 5 or 6 or whatever it was, and they had the relievers in, and they were just letting them steal second and then letting them steal third.
And then he took third, the defensive indifference. It's like, dude, what are we doing? Come on.
It's like, for me, I'd rather not have the shift and keep those guys at bay, at first base, because then you saw a run get in, and that's not even cool, for the relievers. What the hell, man? We're not holding on anyone, then everyone's hitting a triple against me.
Yep, a single turns into a triple. Like
Right.
stupid.
So,
I agree.
and I know that's like a
Guard.
league-wide issue too. So I get it, but I don't know, man. I think that's something that really needs to be looked at and changed.
I think they were caught off guard with him taking third.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you could tell they shifted over, and I think it was just like a whoops. We didn't notice. We still had the shift on, and then he took third, and then it was like shit. Like you don't really see somebody take third on defensive indifference. Taking second will happen. Usually, eighth, ninth inning. I think that this one happened in the seventh or the eighth.
yeah.
It doesn't matter, but yeah, it can't happen. There's been a lot of, Bryce Harper had that bunt single down the line. Like there's, you know, these are some guys are going to try to break tendencies early, and then they're going to fall back into what they always do. I think that one did catch them off guard, and it's like another thing. I'd rather have it happen now and learn from it now, and make sure that it doesn't happen again. What I will say is, I noticed it today, big time, that Francisco Lindor is taking a vocal, leadership role with this team, and I think maybe games 1 and 2 he was still trying to feel some things out, and I think he's realized like, okay, like I need to like be this guy on the infield right now, and I think he's trying to lead the way with, Pete's a little bit younger, McNeil's a little bit younger. When JD's out there, he's a little bit younger. Even Guillorme's a little bit younger. So I think he is realizing like, oh, I'm the veteran now. I have to tell these guys what to do and how to act out here.
I think that's like kind of what I'm hoping for too, with like the sloppiness a little bit, because we have seen some sloppy plays,
Yeah.
and just not even maybe so much like physical plays on defense, but like lapses, mental lapses, and I think I'm hoping that's pretty much Lindor's job to get them in check with that.
And you know what? Give the Phillies credit. They kind of jumped us a little bit in a few spots. They jumped Peterson. They jumped Trevor May. They took 2 bases on defensive indifference. I mean, they kind of, I don't want to say they're better than us, because I don't think they are, but I think they, out hustled us a little bit, and they clearly, I mean, by far blown away, outmanaged us. It wasn't even close.
Well, what comes with that too is this not only happened with Jacob Barnes from Real Muto, but a couple other relievers too, like May, and they are aggressive at the plate, and they got some really good fastball hitters.
Mm-hmm.
So first pitch fastball, and they'll go with it the other way too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Real Muto, Bomb, that kid's good, but he's a fastball hitter, and they're jumping on first pitch fastballs.
Long swing.
In a way, it is that us being outcoached and outmanaged, because we can't be throwing fastballs down the plate.
The good thing is, right, like they showed their hand. They showed who they are. And you got 4 games with them coming up. And I think, take care of business here with the Fish, beat the Marlins. But you got 4 games with them coming up. And you have a chance to, right some wrongs and get them back a little bit. And I think we're going to see a bit more of an aggressive Mets team against the Phillies in this 4-game series. I would hope you would see a bit more of an aggressive team. I think they should go into that series a little bit pissed off.
I'd agree with that. Aggressive in all aspects too, base running, defense, everything, and a little bit more ready, obviously. Starting the season late, I think maybe that had a little bit to do with it too. Mm-hmm. I mean, with the pitching, I think it'll get better too. I do find it funny though, like DeGrom threw a ton of fastballs and just threw it all by them. Our other guys it's just different. It's just different. But it was almost disrespectful. He threw off speed to Harper, but all these other guys like Hoskins, Baum, let's see if you hit 99.
Yeah, right there, couldn't catch up to it. Baum's got such a long swing. Gosh.
So many swings and misses from those guys. But then relievers come in, and it's like, all right, well, they're catching up to that a bit.
Like those guys, they are what they are. Hoskins has that long swing. Baum has a long swing. Like, they're not shortening up. There's no Jeff McNeil in that lineup. There's no Brandon Nimmo in that lineup. They are what they are. They don't necessarily scare me. I think they're a decent team. We'll see what their bullpen should be, improved.
Their pen is gonna struggle.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I
thought we were gonna come back when we were down like 5 with Maurice in the game. I was like, oh, we got a chance.
Yeah,
we got a chance.
He's a wild man. He's not the who you want to be putting out there. All right. Well, here's a little Mets news for you. That we got the Nationals. I think our last podcast, we basically said, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that series was called off, and we nailed it. So not that we broke news, but we pretty much called it. But we have our makeup games with the Nationals. So it's 2 doubleheaders, and then they threw an extra game in there on a day off. So we got a doubleheader June 19th, 105, 605. About 9 days later, June 28th, both teams had a day off, so they threw a game in there. So that's a 7:05 start. And then September 4th, we got another doubleheader with the Nats, a 105, 6:05. So September doubleheader. I mean, that could carry a lot of weight there.
Is MLB doing 7-inning doubleheaders again this year?
That's a great question. I want to say yes.
I think that should be more of a thing, honestly.
Yeah, you're a big fan of it.
Hell yeah.
Talk for a minute while I look this up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I loved 7-inning doubleheaders playing. I was just like, let's get the hell out of here. Like, let's, and then 20, 30-minute break. Obviously, those guys need a bit longer. But yeah, I would be all for 7-inning doubleheaders.
7-inning doubleheaders are back, and obviously, as I think we've seen in a few games, the runner starting on second in extra innings is back. So that rule, they're kind of married together, that one.
They're going to have to tell Castro which hat to wear.
You saw that?
Because, like, if they're changing unis or something, like, they're going to have to walk them through it. Because
I don't know. Is that a spring training hat? Was it the warm-up hat? Like, it was just the Mets. It was the Mets hat, but it had this like white outlining on it.
It had the lining there.
Wore the wrong hat in the middle of a game.
That was wild. That was pretty funny.
I don't know if you saw this one too, but Dom Smith gets to first base, right? And Jesus Aguilar right into the butt pocket, took a card out of Dom's pocket there.
Yeah.
So I could see a little. I think that the Marlins are going to be pissed off at Conforto. I wouldn't be surprised if. I mean, the thing is, they have a day off tomorrow, right? So like cooler heads will prevail. If it's Sunday and it's 7th, 8th inning, and there's one team that's beating up on the other one, and Conforto comes to the plate, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets one in the back and say, "Oh, this is what getting hit by a pitch really feels like, buddy."
I disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah, I think the way he went about it in the post conference, he wasn't like gloating and like happy about it. He's like, well, yeah, I don't know what I really did. My elbow kind of goes. He was talking like how his stance is. He's like, it kind of locks and it went up and I got hit. And if he went about it in like a like evil like heel type way, I could see it. Yeah, just like smiling, like, "Hey, whatever, man. They hit me. What are you gonna do?" But he was just like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. It happened."
I saw a lot of Yankee fans on Twitter. I don't know why Yankee fans care so much about what the Mets do. Like, I'm in a group chat with a few Yankee fans, and the way I talk about the Yankees, but I like question things. I'm not like talking down on them. I guess it's like
you should.
It's little brother syndrome. Like they're always like peering over our shoulder and like checking in on what we're doing. Calling Conforto like Conforto with a K instead of a C because he keeps striking out. And then they're calling him a cheater. What did he do to cheat? How is he cheating? Like, relax. You want to talk about cheating in 2021? Talk about the Houston Astros. That's the cheating they should be worried about, not freaking Michael Conforto against the Miami Marlins. Give me a break.
Dude, some dumbass reporter
your shortstop who's a second baseman who can't throw to first base. Worry about that one.
Some dumbass reporter put on Twitter was just like, this is in no way like the Astros, though. Keep in mind. I'm like, No shit, you idiot.
Yeah.
Why like you didn't cheat? Honestly, it's the same as like
Ridiculous.
when the umpire calls ball 4 and it was really a strike and you take your base. You don't
Right.
go, "Hey sir, that was really a strike. I should
Sorry, I'm gonna walk
down."
back to the dugout. Like, oh, sorry, that ball was actually a foul ball. What? It's like, you remember that commercial where it's like the kids playing basketball, and he's like, "No, sir, I actually stepped out of bounds." And then the coach is like, "I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, son." Like, what?
Yeah.
In what world? In what world?
Pigeon. That's a pigeon move. No thanks.
You love pigeons.
Pigeons and Muppets. And I'm all for the smoke on Twitter. So follow LFGM Pod on Twitter. And I've been going at it with a few people who are just pigeons and Muppets on there.
Good.
And mainly Yankee fans. It's mainly Yankee fans. And I'm just like, you idiot.
Yeah.
You idiots. Like, there was a video of Pete Alonso having a catch with a fan.
Oh, I saw that
in the outfield, and some guy on Twitter goes, Aaron Judge did that first. He just wants to be like him. And I said, hey pigeon, I said, hey pigeon, if I see someone hold the door for someone, does that mean I'm not allowed to do it too? You fucking pigeon. That's what I said to him, and people loved it.
I would, if that was me having a catch with Pete Alonso, I would freak out. Like, I wouldn't wash my hand for a week, and it's COVID times. Like, I'm still that way.
That's a little weird, but all right.
Whatever. It's like, if I when you're a little kid, that's like the things you freak out about and you dream about that stuff. Props for Pete for going out there and doing that. And you know what? You wanted to say he's worried. How about Aaron Judge plays in more than half of the games this year? And then you can say that he's trying to be like Aaron Judge. He's trying to be like Pete Alonso. Shut up.
I did watch the video and I was like waiting for an errant throw into the stands to hit a kid or something.
Yeah, like break a kid's nose, and Pete Alonso breaks fans' nose.
But he's gotten so much better defensively. So that's,
he looks great overall now.
Yeah.
See, like I said, 157 to go. We're 4 down, 157 to go. 2-2. Should be 3-1. But hey, what can you do? Take care of the Marlins. You got 4 with the Phils. We'll see you guys next week. That's another episode of LFGM. You can put it in the books.